Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to a new episode of Chatting with Lady C. Hi, Mum, how are you?
Hi, honey, I'm well, and look who's joined
Yes.
us.
It's great. Looking camera shy.
Yes. She just wants to be with us. She doesn't care about anything else.
No.
So,
So for today's episode, we're just going to go back on Mum reviewing Meghan and Harry's book. So from there, Mum, it's all to you.
okay,
Whenever
honey.
you're ready.
Thank you very much. Yeah. So, shall we hold our noses and plunge right in? Yes, and Mickey says she wants to plunge in with me. Oh, she's just seen it's not nice, clean water. She says she doesn't want to plunge in, but she's going to be good and loyal and she's going to listen. Okay, good girl, Mickey. We start with the proof that Harry is addicted to Meghan. And there in black and white on page 128 is the admission. Inadvertent, but admission nevertheless. Harry didn't care what his family thought or said. Quote unquote. Nothing was going to get in the way of his happiness, a source close to Meghan and Harry said. He knew Meghan was right for him. Their love was real and their feelings for each other were genuine. Everything else was noise. Noise is one of Meghan's favourite words. It's a word that she uses to dismiss anything that doesn't matter to her. It's noise. It's irrelevant. It doesn't count. The question I would have to ask, now we all know that the book was basically written by Meghan and that amid scabies and cowering Durand are their mouthpieces, and to a large extent it's really just amid scabies. And I do say for those who don't like me using amid scabies, it is a pun on the name Omid Scobie, because really we are amid scabies when we are reading this book. Scabies are very parasitic and annoying things that get under your skin and drive you crazy. And Harry and Meghan have got underneath everybody's skin and they are driving people crazy with their constant grabs for attention. And therefore, it's not pejorative against Omid Scobie. It's just alliterative. Let's put it that way. So don't think I am putting Omid Scobie down when I say amid scabies, because I'm not really putting him down. I wish him well, and I wish him all the success all the way to the bank, because I don't know that he's going to have very many more successes after the depth of this endeavour. To wrap up this first question, how do the authors know this unless they were told it by Meghan and Harry? Harry and Meghan speak out of both sides of their mouth, and so does Amid Scabies, because he has been busy denying what is undeniable, that he didn't get the stuff directly from Meghan and somewhat Harry. Well, if this didn't come from Meghan, my name is Bob and I'm your uncle. And my name is not Bob and I'm not your uncle. So shall we go on to number 2? Number 2 addresses the issue that Meghan is a publicity hound who has always courted the press and sought a level of fame that she did not have and that she now has. And now that she has it, she's trying to pretend that she didn't seek it. Well, that's like a thief breaking into Fort Knox and saying, actually, I really wanted to become a nun. No, you didn't. You wanted to become a thief. Anyway. Harry and Meghan weren't only moving forward with their relationship privately. In late June, with Harry's consent, Meghan invited Sam Cashner, a high-profile Vanity Fair writer, to her Toronto townhouse. She was ready to talk, but it was going to happen on her terms.
Mm-hmm.
Now, this is really rather interesting because although I've never actually personally met Sam Cashner, I have had some interaction with Sam Cashner over the years because he is friends with people with whom I'm friends, one of whom was my sister-in-law's goddaughter. And so we have interconnected and been in touch with each other over the years. And he really is a very high profile Vanity Fair writer.
Mm-hmm.
And for Meghan, with Harry's approval, to get in touch with Sam Cashner tells me that these are not only publicity hounds, they are publicity freaks of the highest order. According to scabies and cowering Durand, for a couple who had pleaded with the press for privacy, this was a risky move. I think actually the word he's looking for is contradictory. But anyway, though Meghan had been falsely accused in the past for courting the press, well, I think Meghan should have been accused of courting the press. But putting aside the pathetic grammar, why was she falsely accused of courting the press when there was nothing false about it? But I mean, again, this book is artists whitewashing everything, spreading lies everywhere, and hoping that we will think that lie is spelt Truth. Well, it's not. It's spelt Lie, and we all know it. This time there could be no mistake. Meghan was sitting down with a reporter with Harry's blessing. Never had a royal girlfriend spoken so publicly about her relationship, and most surprising, declared in a glossy magazine that she was in love. Well, it is now emerging that Meghan, with Harry's blessing, has been on a campaign to cultivate, court, manipulate, and direct the press from the word go. And this is one of the proofs of the fact that their actions started very early. Very early on in the book, we have a very interesting and truthful admission. She never stopped pushing, even when she thought she blew her audition for the series regular role of the gorgeous and confident paralegal Rachel Zane in Suits, a new show for the USA Network. Meghan didn't cry or go home to eat a pint of ice cream. Instead, she called her agent. I don't think I did a good job in that room, she told him. I need to get back in there. There's nothing you can do, he said. Just focus on your next audition. Of course, she got the role. So she had misread the situation, as indeed it turns out she has misread many situations. But the interesting point of this is she never stopped pushing. And this is a criticism that I have heard time and again from people who know Meghan Markle and have known her all her life. She is so forward. She is so objectionably pushy. She is so in everybody's face. She is so me at all times that it gets people's backs up. And the public have picked up on this. And the public, even though they do not know the full extent of it, have understood that this is a woman who has no decorum, no modesty, no sense of the world being no sense of being a part of the world and that everybody else has a place as well. She is all elbows and jumping the queue at every turn. You know, whether it's the Queen trying to get into a car, or it's Prince Harry walking into a room first and she taps him on the back and jumps in front of him, or I was told by several people I spoke to in Hollywood that they absolutely couldn't abide her because she was so pushy. If she was reading for a role with 3 lines and she stood a chance of getting it, she tried to talk them into giving her 6 lines or 12 lines or a bigger role. There's never been enough for her. And this is a giveaway. Now, another dead giveaway of Meghan and her true character is very early in the book on page 16. Now, I think I ought to make it clear to everybody that Catholic schools and very often private schools, whether Catholic or otherwise, encourage their students to do community service. Meghan and Diana's volunteering was not out of the goodness of their heart. It was because it was a scholastic requirement. It just so happens that both of them learned young and then, for each of their different reasons, were able to take something into their adult life that was a scholastic requirement at school. But so, on page 16, because of course, God forbid that they should miss an opportunity to puff Meghan up. You know, it's like they've got a bicycle pump right up her and pumping her. No matter how big she is, she needs to be bigger. And, you know, no sense of proportion, no sense of what is appropriate. So Meghan's willingness to help others and her drive to excel meant that she was deemed fake by classmates at school who felt it was impossible for anyone to be that perfect. They had to put that in the book because they knew that I had been speaking to people who'd known Meghan all her life. And they knew that Meghan did not have a wonderful reputation at school, that Meghan, despite her eagerness to please, was like the school swot. And some people liked her, but an awful lot of people actually, you know, she was too obviously a goody two-shoes and obviously sucking up to the teachers and obviously trying to, you know, be the best and be, no matter how good you are, you've got to be better. I'm better than you. And they knew that I knew that. Mm-hmm. So, of course, they had to put this in their book because they had to counterbalance the possibility that I might actually blow the whistle on Meghan from the word go. So that's why that's in this book. It's not in this book for any other reason. But it shows, it absolutely shows what she was really about. and it shows that she started very young. Then it also says, and here we go now to the virtue signalling and to the posing as a victim. Now, they said that the children thought Meghan was a phony. And it's funny that they thought she was a phony and people still think she's a phony. Now, of course, it could be that everybody's perceptions are askew, or it could be that people are actually onto something. But anyway, be that as it may, however, Meghan never thought she was perfect. In fact, she often felt she had more to prove. Well, that is true, because she has a massive inferiority complex that is concealed by a massive degree of overconfidence. And by her own admission, she has an inferiority complex. If you read my book, you will see I don't put it like that. I'm kinder about it, but I do refer to her insecurities and her areas of uncertainty within her personality and her life and her identity. But basically, what I'm saying is that she had a massive inferiority complex and still does, which, funnily enough, often goes along with narcissism. So anyway, being biracial and not always knowing where she fit in, there was a part of her that just wanted people to see that she was great at whatever she did. So again, the grabbing attention. Being biracial, it's rubbish, because the girls at the school, many of them were actually biracial. And the percentages are broken down in my book, and the teachers have confirmed that Meghan had no instances of racial harassment throughout her schooling. So therefore, he's trying to push her into an area of victimhood that she had no business being pushed into, because she was no victim. Anyway, she did not like the idea of being seen as an underdog. Well, that's true enough. But he doesn't realize the dichotomy and the contradiction that he's painting that is actually integral to Meghan's personality. Because at the very moment that she's grabbing for attention, look at how great I am, look at how wonderful I am, look at me, look at me, look at me, I'm better than everyone, I'm perfect, I can do everything better than you, no matter how good you can do it, I can do it better. She's wanting to be superior. But she also wants you to sympathize with her, because she's humble, she's suffering, she's so feeling. I mean, the contradiction is just so bizarre. But they don't realize it, but they are exposing her with every single dollop of praise that they threw in her direction. We are coming on to interesting stuff now, because we are coming on to the really mischievous part of Meghan's demeanour, and why she blotted her copy with the British people, and why she has become so unpopular, and also why people don't trust her. Even at the very moment that they are seeing her, they now suspect that there is something going on behind whatever facade it is that she's presenting to the public. The hypocrisy and the false claims. Harry imagined his brother and sister-in-law coming regularly with their children to the cottage in Windsor, which has a special place in their hearts, according to a source close to Harry and Meghan. Well, there's no polite way of saying this. This is utter rubbish. You know, it's bull of the highest order. It's horse manure par excellence. Windsor has no special place in their hearts, because if it did, they wouldn't have decamped the way they did. And the authors are about to show us why this is rubbish. While they were falling in love, they were able to enjoy long walks on the private grounds of Frogmore House without fear of paparazzi. Later, of course, it was the site of their engagement photos and wedding reception. Notice, Harry and Meghan knew that as long as they were at Windsor, they didn't have to worry about the paparazzi or their privacy. How then have they dumped Windsor for Hollywood? Or now it's not really Hollywood, it's for Montecito. How have they dumped somewhere where they were absolutely sure to avoid the paparazzi for somewhere where if they do anything, they are liable possibly to be interfered with by the paparazzi, or so they'd like us to believe. I mean, the fact of the matter is, of course, we all now know that they travel with their camera crew, and that they go everywhere with their camera crew, and they are the ones who are paparazzing themselves and leaking the photographs that their paparazzo has taken on their dime to various sites, publications, etc. But it just shows the wild inconsistency of it all, you know, that they can leave somewhere that is utterly safe to go to somewhere that is supposedly unsafe. And then, of course, they have to sue because drones are going overhead. And, you know, it's so it wasn't enough that they could avoid the line of fire. They had to put themselves in it and then gain further attention by complaining about it. And what emerges as one reads this book is how these are two people who are absolutely determined at all times to remain in the forefront of everybody's attention. They are both fame junkies of the highest order. They're discussing that this is Frogmore Cottage. Also, part of the plans included extensive landscaping, since one of the attractions of Frogmore Cottage I think it should be one of the attractions was, Mr. Scabies, was, again, grammar. Your grammar master must be absolutely just tearing out the hair in his head if he has any. Or maybe he tore it out because you were such a dumb student. But anyway, there we go. One of the attractions of Frogmore Cottage was, I'm going to correct him, the beautiful gardens where their baby could one day play freely. But the baby is not allowed to play freely in California, because the baby is exposed to danger from being photographed by the paparazzi. I mean, do you begin to see how completely ludicrous their game is, and what do you think?
No, I see your point. They've moved from somewhere secure to somewhere non-secure.
Yeah, it's beyond belief. Okay, next one. Being within the Windsor estate security zone provided the couple with the safety they desired for their new life outside of London. But extra provisions were made for the couple prior to their move. So not only does this confirm, as I have confirmed in my book, that there was a cordon sanitaire put around their establishment in Windsor, but that one was already in place, which protected their privacy. So Harry saying, we needed to leave to protect my son. Protect his son against what? Protect his son against what? Against the paparazzi, against violations of privacy. I mean, there is the proof from their own mouthpiece in black and white that they had all the privacy and security that they needed. All they needed to do was stay at Frogmore Cottage. Okay. Then we now get to something rather entertaining. Because he's describing how Meghan and Harry, being so popular, the most popular couple in the royal family, to such an extent that all the other royals were bitterly envious of Harry and Meghan and their popularity, and were doing everything to do them down. Everything to do them down. I mean, this is paranoid stuff of the highest order, which, I mean, I can't believe that anybody who is not completely educationally subnormal would believe. But anyway, they're speaking about the extra security put in place for. It was also held that the next door to their home was a separate building just for protection officers, hired from Scotland Yard's Royalty and Specialist Protection Branch to be permanently based. It was a much-needed ring of steel to keep the Sussex family safe. From whom and from what? Ridiculous. Particularly after they were forced to move out of their Oxfordshire house early, when Splash News, the same agency that was caught in Jamaica, and incidentally, the same agency that Meghan Markle used to use to get herself papped when she wanted publicity, sent a helicopter to take aerial photos of the house. The photos were so clear it was possible to see inside their master bedroom and living areas. Blah, blah, blah. Well, I don't know. I'm always hesitant of when, on the one hand, a news agency is in bed with a celebrity, because this is what we're speaking about. We're speaking about celebrities. We're not speaking about royalty or aristocracy, because royalty and aristocracy don't behave like this. Only celebrities do. And that celebrities are in bed 1 minute with a paparazzi agency and the next minute they're suing them. It invites the suspicion that this might end up being a win-win situation for all concerned, but I won't go further than that for legal reasons. So now we get on to the really delicate subject of Archie's birth. And I have to tell you, if the contents of this book are true, Meghan Markle should actually be subjected to the most rigorous I don't want to say punishment, but examination, let's put it that way, to the most rigorous raking over the coals that it is possible for anybody in public life to be subjected to. Because if the contents of this book are true, Meghan Markle, by the admission of what is written in this book, is mischievous, troublemaking, irresponsible, contemptuous of the British people, the British royal family, all our national institutions, the British press, British customs, and plain, plumb, common decency. Because if the contents of this book hereafter that I am going to address are true, it means that Meghan Markle has perpetrated the most mischievous, one would say actually unconscionable provocation upon the British public that I, in my 71 years, have ever heard of. I now get to the matter of Archie's birth and of Meghan's putative pregnancy and Meghan's putative conduct throughout the pregnancy and of Meghan's conduct at the end of the pregnancy. All of which, if the contents of this book are true, show that she deliberately set out to provoke the situation that she has provoked. Because unless she is stupid, which I don't think she is, her behavior has been so mischievous and provocative as to really invite questions as to the degree of sanity that this woman actually possesses. According to this book, by May 6th, Meghan was several days past her due date. The longest 8 days of her life, a friend said. And it's deeply disturbing, may I say at this point, that there is never any indication of who anybody is. No indication of, it's always a source. A source means nothing. It's either Meghan and Harry or you indicate somehow the rank of the source or something. But of course, this book breaks every protocol, as indeed has Meghan. And with Harry's connivance, it's got to be said. And I have to say, I find the whole thing extremely disturbing, and it really makes me rather angry that they have put the British people and the British royal family and the British monarchy in this invidious position. The 8 longest days of her life, a friend said, but her patience and calm were amazing during that time. She just said, the baby will come when it comes, and that was that. So he is asserting, without the shadow of a doubt, that Meghan was pregnant and delivered this baby. Which is welcome news, let's put it that way, to those who have questioned whether she was pregnant at all. And the only reason why they questioned it was because of her conduct. And there is a common thread throughout all of this. Meghan is an attention seeker and has always been an attention seeker. She has always wanted to be famous. She has always done everything in her power to grab as much attention as she can. Now, anybody with 2 grains of sense in their head knows that if you are always too overtly interested, that you don't get the degree of attention that you want. So if you're really an attention junkie and a fame addict, you do push and pull. And there are many anomalies with her pregnancy, with her conduct throughout her pregnancy, with the size of her protuberance throughout her pregnancy, which, when you take into consideration the fact that this is a woman who is alleged to have instructed her PR people to make her the most famous woman on earth, there becomes, in my opinion, an element of deliberation and of calculation to create the doubt that existed and to maximize that doubt, knowing that this would create a greater controversy and ultimately make her more famous. This, I have to tell you, if the suspicion turns out to be warranted, is despicable conduct of the most disgraceful kind. She quite deliberately did everything in her power to create as much mystery around the birth of that child as was possible. Of course, because she and Harry are adults and they are not sectioned, and therefore they are ostensibly responsible for their behaviour, the royal family and the royal family's advisors had no ability to say to them, well, they could say to them, but to get them to stop behaving as they were behaving and to stop creating mysteries where there needed to be no mysteries. I know there were stories about a home birth, and it was certainly something that was discussed early on, the source said, but Meg knew it would be a hospital birth for a few months. All she cared about was having the baby in the safest way possible, the source added. She was more and more nervous as she approached the due date. So I would say in some ways it was a relief for her to be doing it in a traditional hospital. The source. Why is this in a book? And why was this never in a newspaper at the time? To defeat the rumours of a phony pregnancy, to defeat the rumours of a fraud being perpetrated upon the public, to damage the British royal family's reputation internationally with these disgusting stories that were being promulgated in large measure because of Meghan Markle's behaviour. Because let's be very clear about it. The reason why people ended up feeling the way they did was because they were going off Meghan Markle's conduct. Also contradictory to reports, Meghan never considered giving birth at the Lindo wing, where Kate delivered all 3 of her children. Diana had William and Harry, and Princess Anne had Peter and Zara. Meghan wanted somewhere more discreet than St. Mary's Hospital. Secretive is not the same as discreet. All hospitals are discreet. St. Mary's Paddington is discreet. I mean, give me a break. The Portland Hospital, a US-owned hospital popular with celebrities and the expat American community in London, was where Beatrice and Eugenie were born. It offered not only state-of-the-art care, but also an underground entrance where blacked-out SUVs driving in and out were the norm. So vulgar. I mean, more vulgarity. Harry and Meghan, who were never spotted entering or leaving Portland, didn't tell anyone about their hospital choice, not even their closest aides or friends. Then how the hell is it in Amid Scabies' book? The only people who did know were Doria and Meghan's medical team, who included her obgyn, I think they mean obstetrician. Gynecology is when you're not pregnant and obstetrics is when you are. But yet again, you know, all these vulgarisms. I mean, they can't help being vulgar. I mean, it's like just so... Which included her obstetrician, I'm going to say, Penelope Law, who was one of Portland's top obstetricians, as well as a countess. She was the wife of the 7th Earl of Bradford. No, she wasn't. She is the wife of Richard Bradford. I've known Richard for many, many years, for decades, in fact. I knew him when he was Richard Newport and used to have a restaurant called Newport's near Harrods. And I was never very close friends with him, but we always ran in the same circle. His sister Serena was a great friend of mine. And in fact, Serena died very tragically. And it's thanks to me coming from Serena's memorial service in such a distressed state that Maud got remarried again to Timothy Ungeon, because Jane Ungeon, who was a grief counsellor and Timothy's mother, had come to see the puppies, if you remember. No, you were at school, you were at Hill House at the time. Anyway, and she was consoling me downstairs. I was in such a state because, I mean, it was the saddest memorial service I've ever been to in my life. It was just beyond distressing. And Jane was comforting me and explaining, because she was a grief counsellor who specialised in suicide, and Serena had committed suicide. And I remember Richard saying to me when I was speaking to him after the service, he said, she really did have huge problems with depression. And come, Nikki, come. And so I've known Richard forever, and there is no doubt that Penny, who is his second wife, not his first wife, is a very eminent obstetrician. Of course, the observation has been made by mischievous people that even if somebody presented herself to Penny Bradford and said, I am the Duchess of Sussex, and gave birth, she would not be able to say anything to the contrary, because to do so would be a breach of medical ethics. I think that is possibly a stretch, but I make the point for what it is worth, because I think that Meghan's behaviour is disgusting in terms of this. I think there is every indication from the contents of this book that Meghan deliberately set out to create a scenario of speculation around her pregnancy and around the birth of the child. I think it is the height of mischievousness. I think it is the height of irresponsibility. I think it is so beyond anything that anybody could come up with that wasn't debased and I am struggling to find the words to describe how despicable I think this conduct is. But she leaks the information to Amit scabies. But she couldn't do what every other royal had always done, which was just cleanly, neatly, and nicely make the announcement. It had to be a big mystery. It had to be a big secret. It had to be, oh, I'm private, and I'm a private person. But she's not a private person. And she certainly wasn't then. And I think on this note, I will stop because I could go on because the book is written with other contradictions and anomalies that actually show that we are dealing with a very, very disturbed entity. And I will put it like that. I think it is, I am completely horrified, completely, that anybody could have promulgated such a farce upon the British people and could have done it with the flagrancy that Meghan Markle did it. She has literally spat in the face of the British people, and she has deliberately created doubt where there should have been none. And my own feeling is that she should be held accountable for this, and that the British people are holding her to account for it, whether they are aware of it or not, because this is one of the main things, this and the way she treated her father and the completely disrespectful way she has behaved towards the British royal family and indeed the British people. I think this is why she is now so despised in this country. And on that note, I will say thank you very much. I hope you have found this interesting. If you would like me to continue with my forensic examination of the fecal matter that passes for Meghan and Harry's story, I am more than willing to continue, because this offends my sense of decency, fair play, and justice. It really does. I think it is just beyond outrageous. I have never in my life heard of such despicable conduct promulgated upon a whole nation by one attention-seeking little hussy. And on that note, I will say thank you very much and goodbye.
Well, thank you, everybody. We hope you enjoyed this episode. And if you did, please hit the subscribe button and the like and share with your friends. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.